Hello guys, with the Samsung Galaxy S6 in my hand, and actually of course this is the S6 Edge. As you can see in the background we have the S6, both beautiful devices, both with the latest Android 5.0 Lollipop software, which means Samsung had to work again on the TouchWiz interface, which has still a lot of colors. You can change that with themes of course, but you can read or watch all about that in our review. Now in this video we will show you more than 30 little tips and tricks and hidden features that are really handy on the device for everyday use, and I just love them. Like for example that you can double tap to open up the camera or triple tap to have direct access to a few features that you might love, like that you can go right away into the grayscale mode, or that you can use the magnifier window. So all about that here in my review or in my short tips and tricks video, where we will show you all kinds of neat features. Let's start with here on the Edge device with some basic things, like for example how to enable the night clock here on the side. And if you don't have it, or if it's not the time yet to show the night clock all the time, how to just show it by, for example, just swiping here up and down on the side. You can see now we have the time. Here it could also show the weather update, the battery, and the date. Now this is not going away till I don't press the off button usually, or we can set it up on how many minutes it should show us. Like for example that we have a text message here, and we can go back here to the news, where we can for example also here swipe, so it can give us a little bit more information, or just goes here back into the place where I can unlock the device now with my fingerprint, where I can set up to 3 fingers to unlock it. And you can see I opened up the Yahoo News site by just pressing the screen. So you can see now we are back here on the home screen, which has 3 areas, not 4. Usually you will get when you go here even further left to the Flipboard area. I turn it off and it's quite easy. Just press and hold the home screen, and then you can see on the side Flipboard is off by just hitting here the little button on top to turn that on and off. I don't use Flipboard, so I don't want it. If you want to have it on, just leave it on. Basically it's usually always on. And if you're already here, let me show another feature which is quite new here, which is the screen grid. You can see we have right now 4x4 apps here on the home screen, which we could change. For example, if you hit the screen grid, let's do this again here, to 4x5 or 5x5. So you can see here we could have 5 apps here this way on the screen, or even 5x5 here this way, which would be quite handy if you have good eyes and you can read everything. So we can just use this one, for example, say apply, and then we have here 5 apps in a row, for example. And here on the bottom, of course, these stay always the same, of course, and there's now one more also here on the bottom, not like before. Let's move this back to 4x4 so I feel more comfortable. And now you can see one is gone actually, probably on the next side. Here we go, we can get that easily back by just drag and dropping. But on the bottom, as you can see, still 5 apps, which is quite interesting that that is not switching around. If you're here with apps, you can do all kinds of things with apps, like for example, of course, close them here by hitting the recent button, or you can see here a little icon, which is quite interesting. That means that it supports dual window. Here, for example, the Yahoo News app, you can actually just close them also by swiping to the left-hand side, but we could, for example, also open up Hangouts as the first app. And I can say also I want to send my colleague here a picture of a gallery. So we can open up, for example, also gallery as a second app. I think I'm here in a video. So what I can do is also go back here and go back again. And let's just send, for example, here a benchmark to my colleague, just like this. It should be possible. Let me do this again. For some reason, this is not supported. Let's do it again. Anyhow, usually you could send text or videos, actually, or pictures easily like that. Or you can, of course, just watch video by just saying, for example, we want to have this in full screen, and then you can just enjoy that video again. If you hit the back button again, you are here in the app completely, and you are completely out of the dual window mode, which you can also actually do here the pop-up window style if you just drag and drop it from one of the corners, and then you have here your area for chatting and writing, for example. Also right here, the keyboard will but still stay the same size. Size-wise, you can change the keyboard here in the height by just hitting the settings button. Let me minimize this, and you can say here adjust keyboard size, and then you can make it a little bit taller or less tall, or say you want to reset it to the standard size, the size like you're used to, if you just need more space to write. But I'm usually just doing this, actually the swiping, and then we can easily write here a lot of text that is actually set on your languages. Even though when you're in English, for example, I could write Hungarian words like design, or fetzig is actually a German word. So yeah, the keyboard is just learning with you. But enough about that. That's not that of a new feature. So let's actually just go back out here, close this one up. And pop-up windows are also possible by, if you just go in here, most of the apps, not all of them, like for example, I could not do this with the camera app, the pop-up window thing and the settings. It says on the bottom it does not allow it, but it sometimes allows it also for things that don't have the dual window icon, like for example, let's say here the PDF should be, no, it's also not possible. Interesting. Instagram is definitely possible. So you guys can see I could Instagram now here in a small window while doing something else in a big window, which is of course quite handy. Let me like that and close it again. So let's do a bit more here. Nothing has changed much in this area, but what we can do is go here into the settings, for example, and show you all kinds of stuff that you can do now with your Samsung device. And one of the new features is also you don't even have to go into the settings to do a lot of these things. As I showed you on the beginning, you can just triple press here, and then we can go right away, for example, into accessibility, where actually there is also the place where you have to turn this triple press on. You just have to go here into direct access, and you have to turn it on and off. Now it's off, so if I go back here to the home window, if I triple press, nothing will happen except for the camera will open up, and that's it, because camera opening up is double press. You already know that. With triple pressing 1, 2, 3, nothing happens except for it goes out again of the camera. To enable that back again, you just have to go here into settings. Then we have here the accessibility, direct access, and on. And then you can select if what features you want, like for example, I like the negative colors also, the grayscale I've showed you before, magnifier window is also handy, universal switch is even more handy, I will show you in a second why, and so on. But before, there is also a lot of features here in the dexterity and the interaction menu, which I love, because you have here, for example, your assistant menu, which you can turn on, which will be this little icon that you can just drag around, like for example, a Facebook message. And then you can say you want also Assistant Plus, which means you have contextual menus for other apps, like for example the camera, for the gallery, for messages. So basically what the Assistant menu means is that you have here the buttons that are usually on the bottom on the screen if you want them. A little bit more, you can also lock, for example. You can take easy screenshots, easy pinch and zoom and go to the menu settings, and you have a magnifier. But for example, one of my favorites is the cursor, so you can have this cursor area here on the bottom, and you can just move here the mouse around like you would want, or you can also say you want to zoom on certain areas here with the cursor, which is also quite handy. But then it's you can also here select things with that, and that's also really quite cool, like on a notebook. So this is the Assistant Plus menu with the Assistant menu with plus, meaning that, for example, if you go into the camera, you can see here the buttons, which you can also press here, for example, via this app. Here on the first side, for example, you can switch the camera. If you would not reach it here on the bottom, you can say you want to go right away into the gallery. So this is a little bit contextual, but of course you can see most of the things are the same. To get rid of this little icon, you have to, of course, go here into the settings and just turn that on and off. But you can see here there's quite a few things that you can set up here in the system menu, so definitely check that out. Let's go back here into the settings, where we were here in the system menu, which we have off right now. But what you can also do is, for example, gesture wake up. A lot of people were complaining that a few companies like HTC, Sony, LG, and all kinds of others have the double tap feature to unlock the device. Samsung still doesn't have that. Nothing is happening, but what you can do is just do this, and like magic, the device will turn on. You cannot turn it off, as you can't with most of the other devices, I think. like for example HEC, yeah, you can actually turn that off, but a few other devices you can't. Here with Samsung, you can only wake it up by just swiping your hand above these two little icons, which you can here enable under gesture wake up. That's also a feature that you have to enable yourself under accessibility in the settings, accessibility, dexterity and interaction, and gesture wake up. Universal switch is for handicapped people mainly, but it's quite interesting to see what you can do with a smartphone which has a lot of processing power. So if you enable this one, you'll be able to see that we can, for example, enable switches, which means I have, for example, set up when I blink with my eyes that it goes to the home screen, but I can say also it should open the notifications when I blink with my eyes. I have to go a little bit closer with that, blink, and then it should actually see that happening. Or what you can also see is when I open my mouth, it should increase the volume, and so it's having the camera running all the time. So it needs, of course, a lot of power. You can see also it scans the screen all the time, and we can set up a lot of features. And now I just open my mouth to, for example, set up the volume a little bit more. So if I open it up again, yeah, you can see here it goes even further and further. So this is mostly for handicapped people, but you can toy around with this on your Samsung Galaxy S6 with all kinds of really interesting switches here for screen, accessories and camera, what should happen. So let me go back here, turn down the volume again, and turn off these smart switches or universal switches also, which we're able to see you can find again under accessibility and dexterity and interaction. So there's a lot more. For example, in hearing, one of my most interesting ones is still the Baby Cry Detector that was already in the S5 also built in. So if a baby cries, you can get a notification. It should be 1 meter close to the baby, and you can see there's all kinds of liabilities here listed. The baby should not be left in a house or building alone, even if you are monitoring the baby. Makes sense, of course. So if you confirm that, you can turn it on, and then you can see how that would work. So it's enabled right now. So if I would be crying, it would notify me. Otherwise, which is a little bit more interesting, maybe also is the doorbell detector. So I just leave my phone in the entrance area, and if I'm outside or somewhere where I won't hear the doorbell, this can also detect it. But once you confirm it, you have to actually record your doorbell, of course, first, so it knows how your doorbell sounds like. And then when it hears the same sound again, it will notify you, of course, with an alert. Actually, let me turn off the baby detector, because maybe somebody will cry in the background and then it will hear that. So these are just some of the features. There's a lot more, like for example that we can turn off the animations, for example this one and other ones, so you have even more battery power because the processor needs less power. Then you just have to do that under settings, and once you go into about device and hit the build number 7 times, then the developer mode will turn on, which I already did before, and you can see it then right above here, the about device option, and you can set up all kinds of crazy things here that may be cool for you or maybe not that cool. And for example, you can show the touches, so this little icon there, or you can show exactly where the pointer is here with these little icons. But here for the animation, you just have to turn off the animation to completely animation off, transition animation off, animator duration scale off. And then most of the animations will be off on the phone, and the battery life should be even better. But what helps the battery life actually even more is using it in the grayscale mode, because of the screen needs less power then. Also here we still have again the heart rate monitor inside, which now has even more features. So if you go here into the S Health app, you can set up a few extra tiles here on the bottom. So not only to check your heart rate, but for example you can check your oxygen level in the blood, which you can see when I just type it on here. I had 96, which means I'm quite healthy here. I'm still 25, so I hope so. And then here on the bottom, you can also check your stress level. I'm not sure how it's doing that, but you can see it's medium right now. It's not low, it's not high. Yeah, I'm a little bit stressed because I have the S6 here and I have to test it. And you can also, of course, add a few other features, like for example, how many glasses of water you drank today. And then you can track your water usage and caffeine and all kinds of other things here in the S Health app. So again, Samsung added a few more software features here. We already showed you the assistant. What can also be a nice handy assistant is the MirrorLink Car Assistant. So when you're in the car and your car has MirrorLink, you just have to go into the More Connection settings and under MirrorLink, and then you can enable this one. Once you're connected to the car via USB, it will access here all the notifications and everything that you want to maybe show in the car also here over your Samsung Galaxy S6. So that's also, again, quite a nice feature. For notifications, and actually not only notifications, but also if you have not that good eyes and you think the icons are quite small, or for example the text, you can use here in a few apps just the swiping or the zooming in and out for enabling here fast and easy to read messages. And what you can also do is open up here the bottom part, and if you type something, you can also of course zoom in and out here to make the text that you're writing a little bit bigger. If you don't have your second hand free and you still want to use this, you can also use the plus and minus button here to zoom in and out. What's a little bit sad now, though, of course, is you cannot set up the volume like this. And for example, in Hangouts, this doesn't work. And I think most of the apps, it doesn't work, but it's still quite a nice little feature to just have, again, an easier life for writing around. And also what you can set up is your notifications for text messages. If you go under notifications, you have here pop-up displays that you can enable here, for example, for messages, which is, again, quite handy. Pop-ups are really awesome, but what is more awesome is actually even if you have contacts and you want to give your contact a certain ringtone number, or ringtone with your own music, it's usually really a pain in the ass to get the perfect spot right of that certain 5 to maybe an hour long song. But what you can do now is under Edit, you can just go here to the bottom and say ringtone, not default ringtone, and not any of these Samsung ringtones, which we can't hear right now because we have the volume turned down, but we can do this. So here, nothing special there, but you can say add ringtone, sound picker, and then highlights only, which means it looks for the perfect spot in the song that would be nice for the ringtone. If you don't have this on, if you just play the song from the beginning, and you have to look for the perfect spot yourself, or can't even, it will just play the whole song actually as a ringtone. So for highlights only, it will just choose a certain spot which it thinks is the highlight. You can of course here select different listings, or we can just exit here the app again for that. One of the most awesome features is, I'm sorry for the long pause, is the movie player. So if you have a lot of pictures or movies, actually we just want to talk about movies, like for example this one, we are looking here at the nice skyline, we can just hit play, and what I have done right now is actually selected here the MX player for example going back and forth here, volume up or display brightness. But actually the Samsung player does it also. You don't even have to download an app, and it does it even better in a few features, as you will see in a second. So if you have the video player, and let's see, we have here the nice panorama view of the ops. I'm sorry. Let's open it up again. Hit play. You can again here set the volume up and down on the left side, or the brightness here on the left, or the right, up and down. Beautiful skyline. But what you can also do is if you're watching a series, movies or anything, and it's really quite hard to hit the spot here, right, because there's just so many minutes, not seconds, between it, and you want to, for example, just skip the first 30 seconds, you can actually just pull this up for scrubbing rate 1.5 or 1 to 4, and then you can scrub a little bit slower here to perfectly hit the spot where you want to go and not miss a sentence of your series, of your movies, or whatever you want to watch. So depending on how high you go up with your thumb, this will change the speed. So this is quite handy, and of course you still have your pop-up movie option, so you guys can watch a movie while, for example, texting or doing anything else on your 5.1 inch really high resolution screen. And once you hit that, you can just close it, pause, or go to the next song, last song. If you're on video, then we are also having to show you a brand new feature in the camera, which is, for example, just going to the settings, you have your tracking autofocus, which is basically usually disabled, but you can also enable it, which means that you can track subjects or objects. Like, for example, I have here a beautiful flower, and then I can just track for the autofocus on that one. So I could, for example, take a picture now here. The phone would be not in the focus, but always the flower in the background. I can do the same thing for the phone here, just track the phone all the time, which is a little bit harder because it's just a big black thingy here, but you can see the phone tracks it quite nicely. So that's again one thing that you definitely have to check out. And I think we are through here with my first tips and tricks. Actually, one I haven't shown you is here on the bottom you have your pin app feature, which is really quite handy if you are, for example, in a reading mode of your ebook reader. Let's just select as an ebook reader Instagram. So we have here a few things to see, and we accidentally hit the back button, the settings button or whatever, and we are going out. If you don't want that, because in ebooks that's usually where you would hold your device anyway, and you don't want to mess up the screen, you just want to hold it any way you want and read your content, and then what you can do is go here to the last apps, and you have here this little pin app icon, which would mean that this is pinned. We can also say to use the fingerprint before unpinning. Let's just do start. And then what you will see is any button you will press is only working in the app, but what we can do, for example, is go out of the app, go into the last apps or anything like that. Back, of course, works here because we have the feature of back in the app itself, but we can completely go out of the app. As you can see here, it says we have to press both buttons on the bottom to go out, which usually never happens, and then I told the device to need my fingerprint to go back into the regular mode again, and then we can use our phone back as usual. So again, quite a nice feature, and there's lots and lots and lots of more. For example, here with the side contacts on the edge feature that you can also enable or disable here under edge screen, people edge on. And then you have here your favorite contacts on the side with the colors and everything. But of course, as I said, that's an S6 Edge feature, not an S6 feature. So thank you much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. My name is Balazs, and these were the first few tips and tricks for the Samsung Galaxy S6. I hope you liked it. More to come probably in the future when there will be software updates, and I will use the phone more than for just a week. So thank you much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me just do a few screenshots here more, and some other things here with the phone that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But you know, all the S5, S4 and Note 4 and Note Edge features are here still. So there's hundreds of hidden stuff that I could show you, but these were the basics that are maybe new here in the S6 and you haven't seen yet. So thank you much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. My name is Balazs, and till next time, see you again.